I love the sound of Tony Johnson Wednesdays, man. It's the Vice Golf logo at the top of the screen. It's the man who apparently has shaved and then grew it back since we last saw him. I'm telling you, man, it's all happening. Oh, and by the way, on medium.com, come bet with me. We made $92 last week. That was pretty good. Good job, Sam. Good job, Tony.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's speaking of Sammy, good to follow him. I've been a regular listener and follower of you guys, so it's good to see. Love to see the continuity. Love to see, him on a regular basis. He's a fun, entertaining guy.
Yeah, Sammy's growing on me, man. Sammy's a good dude.
He's one of those guys. He grows on people, doesn't he? Yeah,
right.
For sure.
Well, it's just like you can't be mean to him. He's just such a nice guy. And he's very insightful. Love the guy.
Yeah. For sure.
But it's Tony Johnson. That's the thing we got going on here, though. And there's a lot in golf that we got to get to for not this past week, but also coming up. There's another thing going on. So, thank you for joining me once again.
Absolutely. Pleasure, Mike. Good to see you. And it's golf doesn't stop nowadays, right? It's like every week we got new things happening, new news. It's like wrestling essentially, with all the storylines going on and who's going to do what to who. And it seems never ending, at least for the time being.
It's almost insufferable. Yeah. So let's get into it. Xander Schauffele won the Travelers at -19. And by the way, he was sweating it because you saw Cantlay and Rory crap their pants and go all the way down their legs with it. But Schauffele shooting a 2-under par in the final round. He held on to JT Poston and Hadley, both shot 6 under and were right on his tail. But thankfully that 6 or 7 stroke lead held on.
Yeah, and you didn't mention even Tigala, who had those issues out of the bunker on 18. There, I think if he makes a better decision on a shot instead of kind of trying to go for the green, he makes par, potentially, and Xander might have to actually make a birdie, to outright win. So it's tough to know, guys that when you double 18, with a lead coming down. Down the stretch, it's tough. We've seen it with Tigala a couple times already this year. He's a good rookie, really talented player. He kind of threw it away in Phoenix as well, but he's been close, knocking on the door. It's one of those great years. We got 3 really, really good rookies with him and Davis Riley, Cameron Young. I mean, these are 3. It's one of the great things about the PGA Tour, and I know it's been a constant, harping on, throughout the media and things like that, is if you don't, the young players, the young and up-and-coming players, they matter quite a bit, and they become household names. And, guys like Tigala, especially in Cameron Young, these big, long hitters, very entertaining, dudes. It's a great time, to be a golf fan. And we see weeks like this where the field is so bad, comparably speaking to even last week or, the U.S. Open the week before. But there's still some storylines, that are really interesting. And, a lot of really, really talented young players that maybe we haven't heard of, on a consistent basis. But this is how you make your name, and winning tournaments like this. Some of the times the smaller tournaments are really what brings people out. Jordan Spieth was relatively unknown, 7 or 8 years ago, and he comes through here in his 3rd or 4th professional tournament. He doesn't have status anywhere on any tour, and gets the job done at Deere Run. So it's a fun time. It's a great tournament. So there's, we're never short of even not just the entertaining, WWE style storylines, but there's a lot of really good ones too, in events like this. So it's just one of those things I always look forward to it, Mike. It's a tournament I know well, and I can't get enough of it.
Travelers or Deere?
Both. I mean, really both. Well, I talked about the Travelers last week. How much I really like the Travelers.
Hat, right?
Yeah, well, it's I got the Bears hat going today, but yeah, I mean, Deere. It's even though it's kind of the other side of the state, Quad Cities area, kind of Illinois, Iowa sort of mix. It has a very Midwest feel. It's a very Midwestern kind of golf course. I grew up playing courses like this. They're playing on bent grass this week, which is rare on the PGA Tour, but it's native to Illinois, Iowa, type of grass. So yeah, it's kind of it's fun stuff, and it's a good transition because you have the Travelers, which is really it's become its own event. It's really with a lot of big names. We saw so many big names last week, and then the Deere has always been in a spot schedule wise, including this year, where they're in between a lot of really good big events, and so you just don't get the same type of name recognition that you might. And then of course LIV is playing this week too, so we have
Oh,
some guys that are over there. So yeah, it's kind of one of those tough weeks. But when you look at the course, you see it from last week to this week, you're like, wow, this course it's just as nice, it's just as good. Like, this is a really fun time, and it is. I haven't played the course, but I've been out there before, and it's a fun spot for sure.
I looked at the Google reviews of this John Deere Classic, this TPC Deere run. People love it. They love the fact that you can play for $200 or less as a PGA Tour event. They also love the staff. Like, I was like, man, these guys are like, I've always heard about it, but it's so amazing. Like, wow, I didn't realize it was that. Apparently, it's a really popular place once you go there.
It is. It is. It's really a kind of a beacon. You're in the middle of nowhere, essentially. Kind of in that on that interstate from Illinois to Iowa. There's not a lot going on. Cornfields, etc. And then it's just a beacon. It's a beautiful resort. And these cities, there's four kind of middle-sized cities in that area. They call it the Quad Cities. They've all kind of grown over the last 30, 40 years, and it's become areas and towns, with not just agriculture, backing. There's a lot of businesses now, and it's really a nice, quaint, very good area, like middle America, essentially. But yeah, it's a great course. Recent course, only designed in 1999. It hasn't even been around that long, but yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense, because a lot of the TPC courses that they play are either semi-private or they're just private clubs. But this one is actually a public, full-on public resort course, as you said. You can just show up and play. You can make a tee time. We can go play in a week and a half if we want. So, yeah, it's a wonderful spot, and again, it holds a close place to me, because again, I haven't played the course, unfortunately, but the setup and the way the course is designed, the grass, again, playing on bent grass my entire life. It brings back good, fond memories, and it's one of those I never miss, no matter the year. We missed it in COVID a couple of years ago. It was unfortunately one of those that was cut, but yeah, no matter the situation, I always do get to see it. We see a lot of repeat kind of winners, guys, local players. Zach Johnson's renowned, in this tournament, Iowa guy, and then Steve Stricker, of course, from Wisconsin. Again, these middle America players that tend to do really well in this course. So, yeah, it's a good time. And your reviews, they track, Mike, because I haven't heard. I know quite a few people that have gone out there not only to visit the tournament but play. I've never heard a bad thing, not once.
I saw a couple of nitpicky reviews, but there was definitely the majority were like, "Wow, this place is astonishing." Like they show these pictures, it was so just in awestruck of the whole thing. Quickly finishing up with the Travelers here. It was almost like a woo-saw from the previous U.S. Open. Like the whole talk of the U.S. Open, despite the great finish, was, oh, well, they talked about the LIV. Seemed like this week there was more of a, whoa, just a great tournament. Xander Schauffele was able to hold on. But then, of course, the LIV guys just wouldn't shut their mouths. But how did you feel about the overall weekend of the Travelers? Did you enjoy it more than you did the U.S. Open?
I really like the Travelers a lot. The U.S. Open is just such a renowned event. It's my second favorite event of the year. I prefer the British Open is my favorite tournament, just because of all the history, and I love the golf, the courses out there. But yeah, the U.S. Open is always going to kind of take the cake for me in that sense, at least on this continent. But yeah, the funny thing about the Travelers now being with the new schedule arrangement, now being right after the U.S. Open, is it's like two of all of my favorite tournaments. In the top 5 or 10 of my favorite tournaments of the year. So. But as you said, Mike, it's kind of like a different vibe. We didn't get that battle, the battle of one players versus another, who's going to be allowed to play, who isn't. We got kind of more of a normal tour vibe. And again, this tournament has grown so much in the last 5 to 10 years. It used to be kind of a not very attended event, and now you're getting a ton of huge names. Justin Thomas withdrew late, but there would have been 4 players in the top 10 at the Travelers, which is a regular tour event. You don't get that all that often on regular events. So, yeah, and I love the course. The course, it's a beautifully designed course. You have to really think your way around it. Rolling hills, understanding the terrain, moving your golf ball around. Yeah, I mean, I really, really enjoyed the weekend. again, I think I've talked to Aaron about this a little bit. I knew Xander Schauffele growing up. So he grew up at a
Really?
club. Yeah, he grew up at a club in the San Diego area where I worked. Actually, after college, so I played some rounds with him when he was a kid. He was really, really young, already incredibly good, and he is literally the same guy now, as he was then. He's polite, he's nice, he's a quiet guy, humble, but just a killer player. Sitting eating lunch with him, in the club dining room, which I did quite a bit because just the way my shift worked out, and he was playing all the time after school. He was one way, and then you get on the golf course, and he's just this bulldog,
He's
and
locked in,
every shot, he's going after you. I'm obviously not a good player compared to him, and it's just like he didn't let up. It didn't matter. Just a great guy. So yeah, anytime Xander plays well, or he's at least in the running, it's a lot of fun. So even the guy I live with, my roommate John, knows him pretty well too. So we get a kick out of it all the time. But he's a great guy, and he's just great for the tour. So the longer, I don't think he's going to be moving on, and hopefully not. But he's just one of those really, really good guys.
You call him X? Like you have like a little nickname for him? Like, what's up, Big X? I'm kidding.
That would have been good though. No, it actually that never caught on. Or you'd think it would, right? With the first letter like that. Yeah, no, never,
right.
Never really did. Yeah, again, he was one of the great junior players, around the area, and just no nonsense, just no frills, regular guy, always has been. He's one of our, he's really one of our guys, Mike. He would come on this show and be as normal as anybody else. He's that kind of guy, kind of person.
Pull some strings, Tony. I'm kidding. Don't do that. I did see like some speculation that he might go to LIV. I don't know if that's true after what you just told me, but there was some talk about that, and I'm not a big fan. So let's get into those bastards over there. Brooks Koepka, we got to talk about him first. He claimed he only thought about LIV after the U.S. Open. Come on, man.
I know. I watched the whole press conference too. Yeah, it was remarkable. I thought he'd be kind of contrite, and we'd see kind of the normal standard, not Brooks Koepka, but he was combative. It was very odd, Mike, and the whole like, oh well, things change, opinions change, and Tour doesn't listen to us, and it's like, where did this come from? Yeah, like what happened here? I don't know. It's a 4-time major winner. It's a very, very odd deal. I don't know what's happened. Maybe he's had some stuff in his personal life. I just recently married. Maybe things have gone on. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, as you know, Mike, because we get
not Brooks Koepka though.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't defend it now. I can't argue with you, Mike. You're right. I mean, that press conference was combative. Unlike anything else, it was really strange. Really, all three guys, in that one specific presser with Pat Perez and Patrick Reed as well. It was like, what is this? I mean, it was almost like a trashing of the PGA Tour and why this tour is, so much better in all ways, yet nobody really wanted to talk about the elephant in the room, which is like the, money that is just being grabbed as quickly as possible. And I don't know, it kind of got to be, it was entertaining at first and then just so sad to see. Right. It's almost like a brainwashing.
Yeah, makes sense.
With guys that shouldn't be brainwashed. Brooks is he's not a dumb guy. And I just don't get it. I don't get it. One of the great major champions of our generation. He's won 4 majors. And
pretty dominant.
This is where it comes down to. This is where it is. He has a couple of rough seasons, has some injuries, and all of a sudden he bolts. Again, is he really going to leave for another tour if he's still maintaining his great play throughout the 4 major wins? If he hasn't had injuries, if he hasn't been able to not play, but that's the thing, Mike, is like, how does that determine where your belief system is? And it seems to me that was a determining factor, and it's.
Well, my pants sag more because my pockets are so heavy. So all of a sudden I want to go. Man, baloney.
I know.
He says the injuries in family. Well, money to pay for medical bills, money to provide for your family. Just say it's money, bro. It's all you got to do.
Just be straight up. Be honest.
Lie.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a. I wasn't into the PED thing. I've never really gotten behind any of the steroid guys in the major leagues.
Same.
Baseball was ruined for me a little bit in that sense. But I
Oh,
always
thank you. See, me and you all just alike, bro.
yeah, I always respected Jason Giambi though, because at least when everything went down and the chips were down, he just admitted it, talked about what happened, was sort of ashamed, had that that 5-minute or 10-minute interview on ESPN, and we didn't hear anything else from him. It was
Ryan
this,
Braun,
he
too.
admitted it, and yeah, exactly, and it was just one of those things. And I always respected him because at least he came clean, talked about it after all was said and done, and that was it. And it was, you know what? At least a guy that's just real about it, and that was, and everyone is just skirting around the edge here, family time and more money. Like, what do you mean family time? You pick and choose your schedule. You're Brooks Koepka. You're a 4-time major winner. You don't have to play every week. There's no, you're not a guy trying to grind away. This isn't Ryan Armour, trying to hold on to a card every single year. He's a 4-time major winner that has, he can play any time that he wants and be fine. And now that's going to be the cause, is that the PGA Tour is too demanding of his time. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's
Such
just,
a
it's
world-class
such
athlete.
crap.
It's so hard.
Yeah. So,
Patrick Reed's the best. He just felt like you have to play every week. Now the quality of life is so much better. We have an off season. Then don't play golf, you idiots.
Instead, then just don't play for a while.
Don't be a world-class athlete. Like, these NBA players. Like, when Richard Jefferson got up and, slammed people, there were some people that are mad. Why are we mad at this guy? He's saying, you signed up to be a world-class athlete. That's what separates you from me. So what's going on?
Yep, I agree. We saw Jefferson do it for 20 years in the NBA. I didn't hear complain. I mean, he grinded for 20 years. And, where is that? Where are these current athletes? Why aren't there more people like, Richard? I remember him when he was a rookie, for forever ago. I guess I'm aging myself a little bit, but yeah. And he was the same player then as he was, playing those 13 minutes a game off the bench, late or whatever. He's just a hard. We don't see that same kind of work ethic, on a consistent basis. Again, I'm not saying everybody's like this, not at all, not in the least, but it's just it's sad to see. Again, these are not guys. Brooks and Patrick Reed are not guys. This is not the Pat Perez camp. These are not guys in their mid-40s or later. They're just trying to hang on and grab and get a paycheck. You're like, these are different players. These are players sort of in their prime, that are doing the opposite. They say they're growing the game. This is the exact antithesis of that. And as you said, just admit it's about money and move on, and that's it. And I don't understand why it all has to be a big storyline about all kinds of things that you've been done wrong by a tour that's made you millions of dollars. It's a shame.
I don't know if I ever showed you the picture of what people said about, there was they showed a picture of 48 LIV players, but 2 of the boxes were missing.
Oh yeah, were they executed? Yeah, that was funny. That was actually awful. Very funny. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that was pretty funny. Yeah.
I thought Pat Perez had the lowest blow though. He said about Jay Monahan, he doesn't listen to the players. Thank you, Pat Perez. What about what, dude?
Yeah, I mean it's
fun fact. I looked at the LIV website. It's very promising. You look at their stuff. They don't show any of the controversial news. It's only, we signed this player. We can't wait for the country music star to perform at Portland. It's golf, bro.
Yeah.
And then I also love how you can, for media credentials. I was like, oh, I'll sign up for the ones in Miami so I can go there and be like the jerk. Well, I thought you were such a hard worker, pal. I was going to go to Miami just to, piss on them.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
The reporters are slurping them up.
Yeah, it's not an easy media cred. I've heard some other guys like Alan Shipnuck and a few others that have talked about how it's very contained compared to a lot of other scrums and things like that you get at the major events. And again, I'm not a big media guy. I'm just, from what I read, it's tough because they have a couple of moderators there, and you heard, I can't remember the lady's name that was doing the all the pressers yesterday, and she controls the conversation pretty well. And yeah, and so she's gotten to know a group of people that knows won't rock the boat, and not everybody gets to ask a question even in like the presser, it's a little bit of a different situation. Again, I'm not saying it's this horrible, overly oppressive deal, but it's not, after an NBA game or whatever, Steph Curry will take a question, from everybody. Like that is not the case here. It's a little bit different. So I don't know how they do the credentials or how they give them out or what it is. I just know that just because you're there doesn't necessarily mean that you get to, ask and do and go where you want to go. So yeah, it's a shame.
So it's almost like I was sitting there, and I'll just get my one word in. Why, Brooks? Why? Like some dudes in masks will come over and just arrest me, and I'll never be seen again.
Love it. Yeah,
I'll never be seen again, dude. Another journalist taken away.
I'll fill in for you for a little while on AM Drive until you get back on your feet, and it'll be okay. Show will go on.
If I get burned. Yeah, but like the TM Drive from now on.
TM Drive.
Or the AT Drive, whatever it's called.
I love it. I don't know. We might. I don't know if I'd have to get into the lacrosse and learn a lot more if that's going to be a segment. I'd have to take. It's a rough spot to fill in for you, Mike. But I would do my best. I can tell you that for sure. I would do my best.
Lacrosse is lit. I ain't gonna lie. Lacrosse is fun.
I know you love it. It's great. And Las Vegas just got a team, right? So I think there's a local team.
The Desert Dogs.
The Desert Dogs. There you go.
I ain't gonna lie though. NLL. I don't want to harp on this too much, but I do want to say that I think people would find, like, if you're a hockey fan, if you're a basketball fan, if you're a football fan, don't watch the crap that's on ABC with the PLL. The NLL box lacrosse is so much more physical, and it's fantastic.
There you go. Okay, it's good to know because I wouldn't even know where to start. I used to watch the college, tournament at the end.
That was how I got into it. Watching Duke and Syracuse and Maryland go at it.
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, cool. When they were inside an arena, I was like, oh, yes.
Yeah. No, I've heard it's very entertaining. So, and not surprising because, the sport lends itself to some pretty good excitement, especially when you can box them in, as you said, get it into a smaller space. I hate each other more. See it being good. There you
go. Best bets and upcoming articles for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just like last week, I'm going to have an article out in a little while, some hours from now, about going through every single selection, that I have that's available to bet too, which is great. I got a lot of messages last week as well about that, but not only just on the phrase there, but also through Twitter and some DMs. So that was really nice to reach out to some people. It's great to talk to people. A lot of people just wanting to talk about betting, how you go about it individually, all the places that you look at, the things, how you make a decision, where you start, if you start on Monday or, through Wednesday. And it was a lot of fun actually to communicate with some people all over the place, even somebody from the UK. So that was a whole lot of fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, this week, it's one of those great courses where actually the majority of the winners throughout the last 10 to 15 years have been a lot of the shorter hitters out there. Again, we've seen guys like DeChambeau has won here, but mostly a lot of short hitters. Steve Stricker, Zach Johnson, Brian Harmon. We talked about Jordan Spieth even a little bit earlier. Lucas Glover last year as a short hitter, mostly an iron player. So, yeah, it's a par 71 that's 7,200 yards. So it's really not all that long of a course. 3 par 5s. 2 of them are reachable in 2 for everybody, even the shortest of hitters. So that's great. It's one of those spots where anybody can win. You got to go really low, though. Just like the Travelers, what we saw last week, we saw a lot of really good scoring. We're going to see even better scoring, I think, this week. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of short irons into green, so you're going to see some close shots, and it becomes a bit of a putting contest out here, which you don't see all that often on the tour on a regular basis. Usually ball striking off the tee is more important. Out here, the fairways are really wide, and it's a short course. So off the tee doesn't really matter all that much. A lot of, everybody's going to be basically hit the fairway. And then we got guys putting on bent grass. There's only 2 events on the regular tour that's a consistently played event that are on bent grass, pure bent grass. It's harder to maintain. You got to kind of be in a specific sort of area of the country. And it's a lot of fun. So I've looked at some stats and just to kind of see which guys have putted well more consistently on courses like this versus not, and try to weigh that in because, again, the odds makers know that too. So it's really a fascinating type of thing. I'll give some of my best bets. And then, on Medium later on, I'll have more of that. I've got a couple other articles upcoming, one set for Friday, another set for a Saturday. That'll be other stuff. And one is not even sports related, but a lot of good stuff, at least things that are just coming to my head, and why not? So Yeah, let's give three guys, three of our best, our guys. I know we did something like that last week. I thought that worked out really well. So, yeah, we'll start out with Maverick McNeely. Had him last week. Just got out of the gate so poorly. Started out with 3 bogeys in his first four holes, and wasn't able to really recover. I know we were briefly brought up Rory McIlroy, talked about him, before. He had a quadruple bogey and a couple of double bogeys on Saturday, and just too many big numbers. Same thing with McNeely. Had a couple of doubles as well in the second round. Just couldn't recover. Besides that, you take out those holes, his ball striking was really, really good. And this is the type of course that would make a lot of sense for him, just because his putting, when he's on, he's very, very streaky. And we're going to have to make a lot of birdies to win here. So really looking at guys that tend to be streaky, that tend to have played well in events like this, in the smaller events, in the lesser fields, and have some track record here on this type of grass. So yes, at the odds here with McNeely, you can get about 32 or 33 to 1 on Maverick. 2 other guys I really like, they're actually a little bit lower in odds. I think that have a really good chance. Nate Lashley, who's won in Detroit Golf Club 2 or 3 years ago. We get him around 70 or 80 to 1, depending upon where you're at. Extreme streakiness. He puts birdies together in droves, and then when he isn't on, he misses a ton of cuts. All of his great results throughout his career have been in smaller fields and lesser events like this, which I think is a really good sign. He's had a really nice year as well this season. He's in the top 125 in the money list in FedEx Cup, so he's actually having a really good overall season. He just fits really well. Again, like the fit there. And then a guy that was making a name for himself as of last year or a couple of years ago, and hasn't really been able to had as good of a rebound season. Matt Wallace, British player, tends to do actually better in the tougher fields like the U.S. Open, where the course is difficult. But he's got a really good track record here, which is really fascinating. He's only played here a couple of times. He's made both cuts. He's finally turned the page. He's had 3 really good events in a row. He had a chance in Canada. He was actually in the top 5 through the second round in Canada. He's starting to play really, really well again. And when he gets the putter and the flat stick going, he's very, very capable. Again, growing up in the UK tends to not really bode very well for courses in the central part of the Midwest of the United States, but he didn't really grow up on those links land kind of silly courses that people sort of think about when they think about the UK. He actually grew up in the middle of the country on kind of spots very, very similar to this. So I think it's really interesting in that sense. Yeah. And Matt Wallace, when he is back on and playing well, he is a guy to watch out for. So we get him at about 110 to 1. The number is wrong with Matt Wallace. When he's playing really well, he should be about 50, 60 to 1, something like that. So I know we got a good number here with Matt Wallace. So those are the 3 guys we're looking at, and those are, I guess, we'll call it the best bet segment, which I really like. A nice little preview of what it'll be, and that's what we're looking at this week.
I love it. You have 23 of them, by the way, on medium.com/Tony Johnson 29. Love seeing that.
Appreciate it. Oh, there's an at. There's an at. It's / at Tony Johnson 29. Just so you know, as well.
I was looking at that this morning. I knew it was happening.
Yep. So that's fine. Yeah, somebody actually brought it up to me. That was the funny thing, is I got a comment from somebody on there about how it just wasn't right. I think they might have found it through the AM Drive show, which is great. So yeah, it was a comment that I got on one of the things about just make sure you have the thing written. I was like, oh, okay.
I saw that and I was like, I don't think you need the at, because I never seen that being used. So there you go, at Tony Johnson 29.
Perfect.
Awesome.
No, easy. Yeah. Anyways, once you just type it in anyway, you type in Tony Johnson 29 on Medium, you'll find it. So it's not a huge deal. But yeah, no, it's I was really impressed. And again, we've had there's been a lot of viewership recently. I had over 100 views one day last week too, which is quite a bit for a new writer on there. So it's been really, really fun. I didn't realize there were as many golf-centric people or just sports-centric betting people as there would be on there. So it's been actually fun to talk to people. And again, I thought it would be. It's not a surprise in that sense, but
you got 28 followers. Ain't bad.
Really looking forward to it and making this a regular deal. I had a lot of things come up this week. I haven't been able to write in the last 3 or 4 days, unfortunately. But yeah, looking forward to it. I know. Well, life gets in the way, Mike. Always does. But
boring.
Yeah. But it's been good. It's been a lot of fun. And yeah, we had a pretty good week. We're still working with our bankroll over 1,000, and I'll have all the bets up later on today.
I cannot wait for that. I might do a similar thing with NASCAR. If I you a little bit. NASCAR is fun.
NASCAR's really fun to bet. Exactly, especially the matchups. You get into the matchup realm where it's one driver versus another, and you can do some damage. Yeah, it's absolutely, again, it's not a sport that I usually go to, but I know of people that do it and do bet it, for legit, income. And oh
Right.
yeah, oh absolutely. Yeah, there's spots.
Oh,
So
this Chase Elliott in Nashville sounds pretty good.
there you go. Yeah, and again, that it's the matchup market. Yeah, the futures is fun, pick the winner,
Yeah, I
obviously,
know.
but it's the matchup market that's really fascinating because if you can find, of one car that is significantly better than another one, and sometimes those matchups are based on, kind of a lot where you start as well. But as we don't know, the car is so vitally important in that sport, and who cares if you're starting 20 places behind somebody else? That barring a catastrophe or having any sort of easy enough trip, you're going to catch the guy 20 spots in front of you because your car is significantly better. It's beautiful. I like the matchup spot betting in NASCAR.
I've watched it for years and years and years. More so on than I have off the last few years, which is good for me. I
Mm-hmm.
finally got back into it. But man, NASCAR, I've learned something with that is don't tail the same driver in 5 different matchups. Try to do different matchups. I know
Yeah.
you may really want Chase Elliott at one place, but don't just use him in 5 matchups because I think that's a suicide.
Yeah, same with golf. Because as we said, we saw with McNeely last week or Rory McIlroy. Usually have a couple of
Right.
bad holes can almost ruin a tournament. And as you said,
Right.
bad turn here and there, something happens, and all of a sudden you could potentially lose 4 or 5 matchups despite being kind of on the right side. Totally agree with you.
Right.
Yeah, that's the whole point is you want to find the specific ones that make the most sense and go for it there for sure.
We're learning, not to my own horn here, but I did, like, inspired by you. I wrote an article on LinkedIn. It's whatever. I might do it on Medium. Who
Beautiful.
knows?
Yeah.
But it was about like the disconnect between new media and old media, like with the Draymond Green and everything going on.
Yeah.
It's fun, but no, go to this website here, man. This is good stuff. I've read a lot of them. They're very well written, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Appreciate that, Mike. Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure as always. I love doing the show. I like talking about it. It's great, and yeah, we can make Wednesdays a regular day. I know we talked about that before off the
No,
air.
I dropped the ball this week.
No, you're fine. It worked out great. I was up anyway doing my thing. It worked out perfectly. So this is fantastic, and yeah, again, already looking forward to it. I started doing some divisional breakdowns for the NFL. Won't be ready for about a month or so because I want to see. There's still some things shaking out in free agency and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, it's. I can't wait. I know we talked about the last week a little bit. I know we're super
Baker
excited.
Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, blah.
Eventually, but that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't want to get fully on into there because we still had to have these things shake out. And it will. Something will happen. We'll know about a suspension. We'll know about a player, and it'll be fine. And then we can start to really figure out what's going on. So it'll be good.
And I heard good things about Justin Fields too. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah, we can talk about him too later.
Sure. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week, Tony, and we'll see you guys tomorrow on the AM Drive with Mike and Sammy. Thanks so much for watching and tuning in, and drive safe.